Hello and welcome to Slaying Status Quo with me, Nima. My new tagline is Slaying Status Quo. I'll be explaining why in just a minute. But in fact, today's live is inspired by an email I got today. And it peeved me. It was extremely annoying to get, but it is exactly why my tagline is Slaying Status Quo. Let me explain. It's been nearly a year, I think, since I first started communicating with a certain entity around the issue of enabling the women in the sector to stay on their path, because many of them, it's the same standard stuff that they leave around mid-30s to become carers for children or parents or whatever. And not everybody goes back. So this industry is a special case because it's got very, very few women in it. Around 10% at most. 10% women, okay? So we've been back and forth, emails, proposals, lots of time digging down to facts, figures, data, making things look pretty, you name it. I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about. So today's email is me being handed over to yet another part of the organization, a part that is the title is Women in and the Sector. And the person leading this is not the person's fault, by the way, but the person leading this said to me the following: "Hello, Nima, great to be in touch. Just to set out expectations, we would expect this to be for free." So they would expect somebody like me to offer free training, free talks, free stuff for the women in the sector for exposure. And with the idea that there could be money down the line for training, development, and so forth. Now, this is very annoying on many levels, and for many reasons, I am going to be saying no. But I want to explain why. And my hope is that somebody out there, that you can maybe influence people that you work with, change the system, slay status quo. That means this is the situation we're in. Let's break this down. One, to fix the system, things need to change, right? So it's a case of fixing the system and not the numbers. If I say yes to something like this, then I'm perpetuating status quo. Why? Because the people who are the gatekeepers of this situation are going to stay the way they are. Nothing's going to change. Because what really needs to change is the mindset of the decision makers, yes, and it is embodied in setting aside a separate budget for this. Money to pay people like me to go in and enable the women and the system to work, to enable the people in the system to sustain their success and their sanity. If organizations continue to create token efforts, token gestures, token budgets, or no budget for this sort of work, then this sort of work will not get done in a sustainable way, where the system is fixed and not the numbers. So I have to say no, because saying yes perpetuates this status quo. My heart goes out to the women in the industry, but having somebody like me go along for an ad hoc token type of, an hour here and an hour there isn't going to change things for them. But it'll mean a lot of effort on my part, and it means that I'm walking away from other things that I could and should be doing. But ultimately, this is about me as well, making deliberate decisions around where I spend my energy. It is my most precious resource, my time, yeah? So I'd much rather be doing other things, volunteering in other places and spaces, and not with sectors who are, this is a huge sector, by the way, huge. If they really want to change things, this is not the way to do it. So I got the email, I went for a walk, and I had a thought when I was on the walk, and I'm going to put it to you. This is my ping moment. If you, as a person or an organization, want to sponsor somebody like me, I'm putting my hand up, to provide training programs to people who want to do them within sectors like this, then please get in touch. Because I'd much rather provide training programs that will change things in a sustainable way for the people who want to do it, instead of just showing up, rocking up for an ad hoc hour. So again, my big ping thought as I was on my walk was, hey, if you have a pot of money and you want to help sponsor me to give tools, it's a toolbox. It's about changing behavior and mindset and enabling these women to sustain their success, however they define it, throughout the phases of their life, their sanity, the inability to sustain success and sanity, the opposing pulls, is why so many step off the ladder, right? And for them to stay solvent throughout their phases of life, and especially later on in life. I'm a big thing, one of my big things is financial dignity. So enabling women to have financial dignity means that they need to have finances, yes, and choice in their life. So if you have that money and you're willing, wanting, are interested, then please DM me. If you are a person who wants to work one-on-one with me privately, I'm opening up slots to do exactly that. Because this is the thing, and I'm in fact leaning more into this as time goes on. Instead of speaking with big organizations where I don't really know how effective the changing the system is going to be, because I don't know really if they are going to give the women, the people that they are putting forward, or they'll provide this training as an option to, if they're going to enable them by freeing them up with time. It's usually as if it's a sort of, oh, if you want to learn this, then you need to do it on top of everything else that you're doing. So the idea is, will they allow or enable the people who need the help to earn while they learn? And I increasingly find that the learning is shunted on, it's squeezed at the end of the day, at the end of the week. It becomes more of a punishment sometimes because there's so much else that they have to deliver on. So I am actually enjoying my one-on-one work a lot more because it's people who are able to carve out that time and really drill down. And my hope is that they take what they learn and they spread the word and the message, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you're interested in this, get in touch. Now, back to status quo. You see, status quo is the problem. If it wasn't the problem, we wouldn't have all these problems. Get it? So it is about slaying status quo. Now, status quo is your status quo, so how you feel, what's going on in your life as an individual, a person. What is it that you want to change about the way you show up, about the way you do your thing, about the way you live and are and work? So that's one set of slaying status quo with you, for you. There's also the bigger stuff, social status quo, corporate status quo, the big political status quo. It isn't working, is it? Status quo isn't working for the majority. So I'm inviting you to think, one, what is my status quo? Is it good? Does it serve me? Am I in a good place? Is it all working brilliantly? If not, what is it that you would like to change, to step into? How are you doing it? If you are a decision maker within an organization, look at your status quo, but through a different lens. It's not about just looking at it from the money side, profit and loss and so on. What about retention? You are measuring maybe women at work, the ratio, the numbers. Are they the same women who were there 3 years ago, 5 years ago? Are you looking at that? And if not, are you drilling down to why not? And then are you doing something about this instead of just replacing the numbers? So retention, think retain, not recruit or retrain. To do that, your status quo needs to change, because it is the reason that so many don't enter, don't stay, or if they're in there and they have stayed-ish, they're stuck. A lot of them are stuck, and we know it happens around middle management. None of this is new. What I'm saying to you is, how about we stop perpetuating the problem with sort of like token gestures. We stop wasting our time and the money that is allocated, which is pitifully, minutely small, by the way. And just look at reality, not rhetoric. What can really change? instead of just waving a flag every now and then and saying, look at us, in a sustainable way so that everybody is okay. Here's to slaying status quo, and here's to saying no when organizations aren't really serious, don't really care enough to do something about it, so that you are not part of perpetuating status quo. I'll see you next time.